All right, so in this video, let's try and build a product feature card such as the one given to you in the challenge. I am on stackblitz.com, which I'm going to use to quickly build this out instead of doing it offline, but you're free to do so in whichever way you want, right? So on StackBlitz, I'm going to start with a static project here. I'm already logged in using my GitHub account. That allows you to save your projects quickly. So always do that. Let's give it a name. So let's call this as product card. Okay. And first thing you should do is uncomment out the style sheet, because what you have here is a styles.css file. You also have a couple of HTML files. We are only going to be concerned with the index.html here. And we have the styles.css, which is being imported in. Please don't mind the noise that you hear in the background. If you do, that's something which is unavoidable, unfortunately, today. So the next thing that I'm going to do is get rid of all the content in here. In fact, I'll go into the style sheet also and just clear this out. We'll create this from scratch. Okay. So first things first, let's put down our content. So I'm going to start by creating a div with the class features. You can call it anything that you want. Inside of which, let's put an h2, which says something like premium package or premium plan or whatever. Underneath this, we'll add an unordered list, because we want to list out some features of this particular plan. And let's create the individual list items. So the first list item says something like get cash back up to $20 or something. Then we have the next one as, let's call it unlimited bandwidth. Next one could be, let's say, unlimited user accounts. Then we have something like about 250 GB storage. Yeah, so you can just add all the list items here. 20 authentication providers, and let's just get rid of this one. What else? Let's add one more, which says blogging platform, maybe something like that. So this is done. Now let's also, while we're at it, let's add a button which says sign up. Okay. So you can see the content on the right hand side. This is the content that we have to style. So let's see how this can be styled. Now, one thing that I'll do is I'll bring in Google fonts, because I obviously don't want these standard default fonts in place. So go to Google Fonts or fonts.google.com to be direct. And I already have Open Sans font selected. This is what we use at KnowledgeIt also. You can obviously browse through this library, pick a font that you want. So in this case, Open Sans, the way this works is I specifically wanted Open Sans. So you search for this, you go here, and then you basically click on the select this style button against the weight that you want to add, right? So weight means how dense or thick the font particular that family is. So make sure you do that. So here you can see I do have a couple of styles which I've already selected. These are nothing but weights, as you can see. So light 300 is this. Then you have light 300 italic, which is this, regular 400, and so on. So a couple of them are here. I don't need all of them, but they're here because I was working on a different project. Then what you have to do is go down here and click on the add import option and just copy this bit between the style tags that you see here. So just going to copy this out, go back to your project. Make sure you're in the styles.css file. And even if you're doing this offline, the process is exactly the same. make sure that you paste this right at the top. This the at import statements should always precede any rule set, any style that you create in this file, right? So make sure that you paste it up here. Next, what we'll do is let's start. So we have our content in place. Let's start to work on it, the style and everything, and you'll see how this sort of evolves. So the first thing we'll do is we have this overall container which goes with the class name features. I'm going to create a rule set, and we're going to set position to relative like this. Let's also set a width of 300 pixels. Of course, you won't see anything straight away. Couple of things to do before this, starts to look better. We will also give a margin of 20 pixels. This is again up to you if you want to add a margin around the container. I also want to add a padding of about 10 pixels is good, so that you have some space from the border of the container. And now I'm not going to give any color to this box, but instead I'm going to use box shadow. So box shadow, the X, the Y, we want the shadow to be centered, and then 6 pixels, 2 pixels, the density and the spread, and then you have the color. So in terms of the color, I'm going to use the RGBA notation, which means that I want black, but at just 30%. Okay, so this gives you something like this. What else can we do here? So let's set a border radius of 10 pixels so that the the borders are slightly rounded. It looks better. And also what I'm going to do is for the contents inside, let's set the display to grid, because when you do that, you'll notice that all the content sort of aligns well into these rows, into just one column over here, and this looks overall better. So we've got our basic style done to the product container that we have. Now getting inside this, of course you can add all your class names to the individual elements that you see, but we're just going to keep this example very simple. So first the words premium package, which is essentially the title over here. But before I do that, we got our font in place, right? So what we should do is on the container itself, I'm going to set font family, and we'll say open sans serif as the fallback. So how did I get this? I got this obviously from Google Fonts. You can see here font family should be set like this to open sans, comma sans serif. So in case this font, since it loads from the internet, for some reason if it doesn't load from the internet, then the fallback is the browser's default sans serif font, right? So you must assign a fallback font like this. You can add multiple fonts here and they will all fall back. So this ensures that all the elements inside have the same font family, because remember, this is cascading style sheets. Cascading means that what you set on the parent cascades down to the child. So you don't have to repeat the styles for each and every element if you want consistency throughout. So in this case, every element inside must have the font family set as open sans. So you just set it to the container. No need to set it then individually to all the elements. Okay. So next up we have the H2 element. In the H2, let's do a couple of things. So first is no margin required here. I want padding to be about 10 pixels. Then text align. Text align could be center. Looks well. Font weight, I don't want this to be bold. So actually, let's see what all fonts we got. So light is 300. So you can actually, you can say 300 here, and it should pick that, the thinnest of all, right? And I'm also going to put border, in fact, border bottom, 1 pixel solid. So that should add a thin black line like this. Okay. So this bit looks nice overall. The next area that I want to target is the unordered list. So for the unordered list element, unordered list, remember, if you go back and see the HTML, you have the unordered list, which is essentially a container, and within that you have the list item tags, right? So let's go back to the container bit, and I'm going to set list style to none, because we want to put icons here. I don't want to use the bullet points, and I also want to adjust the padding left. You can set this to 0 if you want, which also works, but I think let's add something like 10 pixels so that we can customize this a little bit. And then we have the individual list items. So for the list items, let's set padding to 6 pixels, font size to about 14 pixels. Okay, so you get this nice list. Next thing before I start working on the icons is let's tackle the button. So for the button, let's set the background color to something, orange or whatever. So let's call this hot pink in this case. Margin is 20 pixels. We can have padding as 10 pixels. No border. Border radius could be about 5 pixels, I think. Color of the text to white, because naturally black is hardly readable on this. And I would want the font weight to be bold, because white text on hot pink is not directly or easily visible. So this makes it a little better. Let's increase the padding a little bit, maybe 12 pixels makes it a little better. Okay. Now, how do you add icons? So for icons, there are a lot of libraries available on the internet. You can Google up symbols and icons, and you can download a lot of these for free, and you can use them as images here. But you also have a lot of libraries like Font Awesome, which you can see here, fontawesome.com. And what they allow you to do is to directly include them from their content delivery network. So what is a content delivery network? A CDN, or a content delivery network, is a server that serves files and assets, right? So for instance, when you watch a video on Prism, that video is playing back through Vimeo from their content delivery network. There are these specialized servers whose job is to serve heavy content. That heavy content could be images, fonts, it could be your videos, sound clips, anything. And these servers are optimized for delivering this kind of a medium, right? This kind of content. So that's what Font Awesome also offers you. I mean, you can obviously download and you can integrate it into your project. But we are going to keep things very simple. So when you go on this website, you can actually click on a button which says try for free, and it'll ask you to sign up. Okay, create a free account. I'm already logged into my account, as you can see here. And once I'm logged in, let's go to kits. Okay, and you'll notice this on the kits page. You'll notice this kind of an entry here. So in the free plan, you are allowed to create one kit, which gives you access to free icons. Now, in case you don't want to use Font Awesome, there are other things also, like there is, I think, Remix icons. Yeah. So have a look at this also, Remix icon, which is again a library. This is, I think, a little more easier to use. There are many other libraries also available. Even, for that matter, Google Fonts also offers you, a library of icons which you can use directly. However, for our purposes, I'm not using this for now. But yeah, Remix icon is yet another library of icons. And in fact, this is a little easier to use, I would say. But let's see how Font Awesome works. You might as well want to go here and click on Get Started and play with this also, just for fun. But let's see how Font Awesome works. So once I have this, you see your kit. Once you sign in, click on this button, and it gives you all the instructions. So the very first thing that I need to do is I need to include this line in my project, in my HTML file. Now what this line is it brings in a JavaScript file from their content delivery network, and this allows you to use these icons in your project. Okay, so just copy the kit code from here, go back to your project, go back to your HTML file, And in the head section, right, in the head section right below your style sheet, or maybe above it, just add your statement, the statement that we have copied from there. So we are essentially downloading and accessing a script from kit.fontawesome.com. This specific JavaScript file maps to the kit that I have in my project, and it'll ensure that whatever I put in that kit is accessible here and nothing else, right? So this ensures that you only download the icons that you're using in your project. So let's see what icons I can use here and quickly connect down. So the first thing is get cashback up to $20. Now, when you go back to Font Awesome and you go back to the icons page, actually, let's see. Let's scroll down, go to the solid category, and make sure that you select free, because remember, we are not using a purchased plan. In the purchased plan, you get access to a lot more content. But for now, we are using the free icons. So once you select free, you can be sure that the icons that you see here will work on your site. So the first thing I'm going to do is let's search for money and anything to do with money, because we are talking about the cashback offer. So cashback, let's use this one, right? This looks nice. I think this sort of matches what we need. So click on this, and it gives you this tag here, this icon tag specifically created for this purpose. All you need to do is just click here, which copies it to the clipboard. Go back, and in the list item, right before the text begins, paste. And when you paste this, you'll see the icon appear here. Okay, looks nice. So let's keep adding. Now the next thing is unlimited bandwidth. Bandwidth as such, I think if you search for something like net, maybe globe is a better representation. Copy. Okay, we'll fix the space issue, right? So just give it a second. We'll fix this also. It's pretty easy to fix. Next is unlimited user account. So users, we are looking for, in fact, let me just close these two out. We are looking for users. So you have a pretty good icon for that. That's users. Next is storage. So storage, if you search for storage, you'll get a pretty good database icon, which works well for our purpose. Then we have, it says 20 authentication providers. Let's search for access. Yeah, fingerprint looks nice. Finally, blogging. So blogging has to do with writing. This looks nice. And there you go, right? So this is all done. So now we need to add some space here, which is pretty easy. What we have to do is we are dealing with the icon tag. So I'm going to say all icon tags must have padding towards the right hand side. How much? About 20 pixels. And that's it. Now, one tiny thing that you will notice is that, each row is slightly offset. So if you try and match the edge of this U with this one seems to be pushed in a little bit farther towards the right. And the reason is that every icon has a different width to it, which you can actually fix. So for the icon tag, I can say, okay, the width of all of them should be about 30 pixels. So when you do that, there's a very tiny change that will happen. In fact, 30 is too much. So let's make this about 20 pixels, and 20 should do the job pretty well. And you can see that now everything is very nicely aligned like so. Okay. Then whatever, other things that you want to do, for example, if it's the unordered list, then you can use margin on the left hand side to push it somewhere in the middle. So now this is how you can design a product card very quickly, and this is how you can incorporate icons. So now you know how to do it in your UI challenge, and just give it a shot and post your results. Right? Thank you.